Okay, let's go ahead and get started. This week we are going to be covering back bending postures or extension of the spine. If you do have any of the props available, you will want to have a towel, something that you can help to grab onto in case your hands are not able to connect together a little bit better. You can have a block, okay, to help sit on, especially as we begin our meditation for today. And then if you have a strap, you can utilize this for parts of the practice as well. So I will give you an option for some different movement through your shoulders today. So if you do have a strap, we're going to be doing some shoulder flossing. If you do not have a strap, then I'm going to give you an alternative type of movement for you to work with your shoulders. And yeah, that sounds like about it. So for the practice today, some things to keep in mind. When we are bending our back, it's important to recognize that we're not trying to kind of wrench into the really flexible parts of our spine, like our lumbar spine, okay, or our cervical spine. These are really easy to come into that extension, right? We kind of feel that we can kind of move around a lot more. So it's important that we try to move from our more rigid areas or the rigid parts of our spine, like from the sacrum, as well as the thoracic spine or from your rib cage in the upper back. When we move from these areas, we try to share the curve of the spine throughout, okay? So we find movement in those more rigid areas, but then we also try not to just hyperextend into those really flexible areas, but we try to kind of mitigate in between what we're capable of doing for both of those. And I like to think of these back bending postures more of front body openers as opposed to bending backwards. Okay, so if that makes sense, we're going to create length and expansion and stretch to the front of the body instead of bending backwards and trying to, drive a lot of effort into, our low back and such. You may feel that there's going to be sensation in your spinal erectors that are going to help with this work, especially because a lot of the work that we're going to be doing today is going to be prone, so on our bellies. However, it shouldn't be something where you're going to feel like your back is like clenching or holding on so tightly that you're going to have, back problems later on today. So definitely give yourself that balance between effort and ease as we are practicing our asana or postures today. Let's go ahead and start off. We're going to do a little bit of a breathing technique immediately after our meditation, our reading. If you do have a block, we're going to change our seating position from our easy sitting position to another type of posture known as Hero's Pose or Virasana. With this one, you can do this in a few different ways. And if you have really tight ankles, I highly recommend utilizing some of these additional options to help you with this. So for Virasana or Hero's Pose, you can do this by sitting directly on top of your heels. The tops of your feet are going to be on the floor, and you're going to see if you can even get your pinky toes down. Now, what I don't want are the heels to be apart and your toes to be together. Okay, so see if you can squeeze your heels in a little bit tighter to each other so they're not spilling out or you're just finding some opening through the ankles, kind of everting the ankles. If you do have a block, this is where it becomes really handy that you're going to place the block in between your ankles. And so instead of having the ankles together, you'll be sitting directly on top of the block and allowing your sit bones to rest here. And this, again, maintaining that neutral position for this. If you happen to have tight ankles, and this is really tough for you, you can roll up your towel or your mat if you need to, and then place it directly on the mat and then your ankles will sit on top. And so you give yourself a little bit more space for the ankles so it doesn't feel like they're going to be bursting. I know that people have expressed before that they felt like their ankles were going to break just because of how much sensation was there. If at all you find that you're like, oh, I can't sit in this for that much longer, allow yourself to come into easy sitting position or something else that feels more natural for you. So let's go ahead and get started. In our hero's pose, knees are going to be pointed forward. Hips are sitting down either on top of your heels or on your block. And your hands either resting on top of your knees or down by your sides if that feels more comfortable and appropriate for you. Take a full breath in through your nose. Let it fill up into the very base of your belly, rising up into your chest and low throat. And exhale, ease the breath fully out. Good, filling up again. And exhaling out. Breathe in. And breathe out. Continue to let the shoulders drop and just relax down away from the ears. Smoothing the expression on your face as you rest here. And just continuing to breathe on your own, allowing that breath to slowly start to expand and stretch. There is a quote by Michael McGriffey, and he says that blessed are the flexible, for they shall not be bent out of shape. By the end of my first week of yoga practice, my life had changed profoundly. Within a month, most of us are unrecognizable to ourselves. For a long time, I gave no thought to why this would be. I had stopped drinking, and that had changed my world so dramatically that moving to Mars would have been more subtle. So why shouldn't this yoga thing not have the same remarkable effect? Years of teaching yoga and watching such transformations in others have given me pause to consider the profound impact a little stretching, quote unquote, seems to have on the average person. The Lao Tzu wrote, "Whoever is stiff and inflexible is a disciple of death. Whoever is soft and yielding is a disciple of life." And each day I see the truth of these words dramatized in my classroom. The rigidity with which we see ourselves, our lives, everything is manifest in our physicality, in the way we stand and sit and walk, and all the things we can and cannot do. A week or two of conscientious yoga practice, and we are simultaneously confronted with the depth of our investment in a particular way of being in our bodies, with the possibility of radical transformation. If we want the fruits of yoga, we learn that we must let go. What's more, we learn that we can let go. We learn that there is nothing to defend and that there never was. Pliant, supple, responsive, we become disciples of life. So take notice right now of areas in your life in which you may feel rigid, stubborn, closed off, hard. And seeing where you can invite that ease, flexibility, and perhaps compromise. Take another full breath in here. Deep breath out. Good, and let's practice a little bit of Kabbalabati breathing. So this Kabbalabati breathing is a breathing technique which means breath of fire. It is also translated as skull shining breath. Don't worry, you're not going to have the shiniest skull here after this. But it does start to initiate a lot of warmth in the body, especially internally. What we do for this particular practice is we reverse the way that we're breathing. Typically, when we breathe, we engage in structuring the breath. We try to kind of open up and use our muscles to allow the breath to come in, and then we relax on the exhalation. So we inhale and we engage through the diaphragm, excuse me, mind fart, the diaphragm. And when we engage through that diaphragm, and then we create some space, we expand through the belly, we feel the expansion through the rib cage, through the intercostals, we feel that stretching effect. And we're literally using our muscles to actively stretch open. And then we relax as we exhale. Now Kapalabhati kind of changes that around. We're going to be forcefully exhaling the breath out of the body, and we relax on our inhalation. So we just allow the breath to naturally come. A good way to do this is by actually holding onto your belly. And for this, I want you to just relax your belly fully. I know it's just going to feel like a big tub of mush, and that's okay. And I just want you to feel how you can exhale and squeeze the belly in towards the midline. And then inhale, let the belly relax. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. One more time, exhale, firmly squeezing and engaging everything in this midline area of the body. And then just go back to your natural breathing while I continue with the rest. So that same squeezing effect, we're going to engage fully, squeezing the breath out, and then we're going to relax about halfway. Okay, so just relaxing the belly about halfway out, and then you're going to exhale and force it out, okay? So it's a breathing out through your nose, and the breath will naturally follow. I suggest that you focus on just breathing out through the nose as opposed to focusing on both. It can get a little bit confusing when you start to focus on relaxing and such. So just focus on the exhalation portion for right now. So your hands can be on your belly if you choose. Your hands can be resting on your knees. We're going to go through about 15 rounds of just that squeezing in. And we'll do it rather slowly at first. And then next week we'll practice with a little bit quicker pace as well. Okay? So let's go ahead and take a full breath in. Let your belly relax fully. Exhale, squeeze it out. Inhale. Exhale, squeeze it out. Relax. Squeeze. 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 Exhale. 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 5 more. Exhale. 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 Last one. And relax. Breathe in and breathe out. All right, let's go ahead and come up off of our block or off of your heels. I want you to come into a tabletop position. So hands directly underneath your shoulders. Fingertips are going to spread out. Feet are pressing down into the top of the mat. And then inhale, coming right into your cow pose. So we've been doing back bends all along. And so trying to find that same type of back bend where you're sharing the curve of your spine here. And then exhale, rounding the spine into your cat stretch, pulling the navel in and tucking chin into chest. Inhale, opening up. Exhale, engage your core, shorten the front body, feeling the stretch in the back body. Inhale, open up. Cow. Exhale, cat. Inhale, cow. Exhale, cat. Inhale. And exhale. Good. Inhale to a neutral spine here, finding that tabletop position, engaging from your core. So not just letting your belly hang freely here, that can dump into the low back. I want you to feel like your belly is lifting up in towards the spine and your rib cage pulls up and in as well. Good. From here, coming into our balancing tabletop bird dog, extend back through your right leg, pressing out through the heel, and then reaching forward with your left arm. So right leg, left arm, palm is facing towards the right side of the room, keeping that engagement here. Good, long, steady breaths. Gazing down at the ground. So the spine is long, and then lifting up from your navel a little bit more. Belly button pulls up, and slowly releasing hand and knee down. Good, switching sides. Left leg extends straight back behind you. Right arm goes forward. Good, palm of that right hand is facing towards the left. Left heel is pressing in the opposite direction of your right fingertips. Now you may bring to mind how challenging this may have felt on that very first practice that we did together, and maybe how much you've improved in time. Good, another full breath here. And release. Hand and knee come back down. Let's go ahead and sit back. And I want you to sit back on top of your heels with your knees wide, big toes touching. You're going to sit upright and then take your hands behind you. One at a time. Fingertips are either facing forward. If that's too much for your wrist, fingertips turn to face away from each other. So out towards the sides. Press down into your knees and shins. Lift your hips up. See if you can reach from your pubic bone, the very base of your pelvis, and then flip that up towards the ceiling, feeling a big stretch to the front of the thighs. If it feels okay for your head and neck, let the head fall back behind you. Good, another full breath in here. And slowly lower your hips down. Good, slide the hands forward and come into child's pose for a moment. Big full breath through side body, side waist. And then climbing up onto your hands and knees. Going back into your tabletop position once more, we're going to add more to our balancing tabletop. Good, so finding that engagement through your core, I want you to extend your right leg back behind you. Send your left arm out in front of you. I want you to reach your left hand out wide to the side, so to the left. Bend your right knee and see if you can catch a hold of your foot with your left hand. If you're having trouble reaching back, I want you to grab from underneath so the knee kind of tucks under, and then you're going to push your foot and knee away from you, kicking the toes towards the sky. Reach up a little bit taller through your spine. Look up and smile. Woo! Good stuff there, guys. Keep the knee going high and then extend through arm and leg back into your balancing tabletop. And then hand and knee come back down. Woo! Good, switching sides. Left leg goes back behind you. Right fingertips extend forward. Right arm reaches out wide to the side as you bend your left knee and grab a hold of the foot with your left or with your right hand. Toes towards the sky, heart shines forward. So the tendency is to kind of wrap the body over towards that arm that's behind us. See if you can turn your collarbones in the direction of the front of the mat. Good, toes up high. Do what you can. Lifting head and heart up. And then extending through the arm and leg, reaching long throughout the body. Hand and knee come back down. Take another child's pose. Hips sit down back on top of your heels. Forehead towards the mat. Good, then walking your hands back in towards your body, sitting back on top of your heels, this time coming into your hero's pose. Again, if this was uncomfortable for you, you can sit in an easy sitting position. We can use, what we're gonna do for our shoulder opening for right now is to grab a hold of your strap, your belt, your tie, your really long sock, knee-high sock, or anything like that. If you do not have that, again, I told you that there's going to be another option for you to work with. So if you do have the strap, let me go ahead and go through this explanation first. You're going to grab a hold of the strap very lightly and allowing there to be slack on both sides. What you'll do from here is reach the arms up and overhead, keeping your front ribs down. You're going to let the hands open up enough so that you can bring your arms behind you. The arms will go up and then they'll go forward. You may need to adjust as you go along. You'll notice that your shoulders start to open and respond to this movement. All right, if you have no block or strap to work with, then you're going to come into a side bend stretch with your body. Fingertips are going to lightly come to the floor. You're going to make big shoulder circles with your arm. The arm's going to sweep forward, up and back. And you're going to change directions, back, up, and across. Forward, up, and back. Good, and up, back, and across. Up, back, and across. Good. And then if you are doing this without the strap, this will be your last one. You'll come up and then switch sides. So you'll bring the arm up and over, back behind you, and then reaching it forward and down. It goes over by your ear, behind you, and then up and over. If you're still working with this on the strap, you may want to shorten your distance between your hands to make sure that you are still getting a pretty decent stretch and still maintaining a lot of the structure in your body, especially in the rib cage, because the rib cage is going to want to kind of flare forward, especially from the bottom portion of it. Okay, last one. And then making your way up. Everyone, lift your shoulders up towards your ears and then roll them down and back. And then again. Woo. Hopefully you guys are feeling pretty good. Let's go ahead and come into downward facing dog, please. Curl your toes underneath. Lift those knees up and send those hips all the way back. Feel free to pedal out through your feet, marching through those heels. Maybe shaking your head, yes or no. Good, and then walking your feet forward to the top edge of the mat. Bend your knees enough so belly is touching onto your thighs. Let the upper body just hang down towards the ground. Then from here, I want you to round through your spine like a cat. Pull your navel in and slowly begin to stack the vertebrae as you come up to standing in your mountain pose. Toes are facing forward, fingertips lengthen down towards the ground as your shoulders reach down and away from your ears as well. Inhale, circle the arms wide and high, look up. Exhale, fold in half, hinging from the hips, softening the knees as your belly comes to thighs. Inhale, right foot back into lunge. Hips down, chest lifts, looking up, smiling. So you bring your left foot all the way between your hands. There we go. Just until the shin is fully vertical. Stepping back, downward facing dog. Left foot meets the right, hips are high, head is low. Inhale, come forward into plank, shoulders over your wrists. Good, exhale, knees, chest, chin to the floor. Inhale to cobra, hips down, chest lifts. So yet another back bend that we've learned in the past. Exhale, lower down, press it back, downward facing dog. Inhale, right foot steps forward all the way, top edge of the mat, hips down, chest lifts, look up, smile. Exhale, left foot forward, standing forward fold, hips high, head low. Inhale, squeeze from those inner thighs, reaching all the way up to stand, and then exhale to your mountain pose. Inhale, bring the arms up, upward hand salute, and then exhale, standing forward fold. Inhale, left foot steps back, fingertips framing that right foot. That right shin is still vertical, hips down, chest lifts, look up, smile. Exhale, right foot back, downward facing dog. Inhale, come forward into plank. Exhale, knees, chest, chin. Inhale, cobra, long spine. Got a little bit of bend in the elbows, quite a bit of bend in the elbows, and the elbows tuck in tight, good. And then lower, press it back, downward facing dog. Inhale, left foot steps forward, lunge, hips down, chest lifts, look up. Exhale, right foot forward, standing forward fold. Inhale, squeeze from the thighs, reaching all the way up. And exhale, arms come down by your sides. Inhale, reach the arms up. Exhale, fold in half. Inhale, right foot back, lunge. Exhale, left foot back, downward facing dog. Inhale, come forward to plank. Strong body. Exhale, knees, chest, chin, hips are high. Now the hips come down, tops of feet into the floor, cobra. Exhale, down, send it back, downward facing dog. Inhale, right foot forward for lunge. Hips down, chest lifts, look up. Exhale, left foot forward, standing forward fold. Inhale, squeeze those thighs, pull yourself upright, upward hand salute. And then exhale to mountain pose. Last one like this, inhale up. Exhale, fold forward, hinge from the hips and take it down. Inhale, left foot back into lunge, hips down, chest lifts, look up. Exhale, right foot back, downward facing dog. Inhale, shoulders over the wrist, plank. Exhale, knees, chest, chin. Inhale, cobra. Exhale, lower, send it back, downward facing dog. Inhale, left foot forward, lunge, all the way there. Exhale, right foot forward, standing forward fold. Inhale, upward hand salute, coming all the way up. And exhale to your mountain pose. Okay, we're gonna do two more of a variation of this sun salutation, but I don't want this to confuse you. This just becomes a little bit more of an extension of what we are learning of these classical sun salutations, okay? But you're gonna be responsible for knowing the classical sun salutations for your posture exam and sequence for that at the end of the semester, okay? So with this, we're going to be incorporating a little bit more of the back bending into our standing upward hand salute, as well as into our lunges, okay? So our hands are literally going to come up and over. When we're doing this, I want you to feel like your ribs are still staying down and that we're going to be feeling like the center of our chest is pulling up and away, okay? When we do this, we also have to make sure that our hips are moving forward, and then we allow ourselves to bring those arms up and back. Okay, so what this looks like, at least for our standing, from our mountain pose into our upward hand salute, we'll sweep the hands forward, we'll put the weight forward into your toes, hips go out in front of you, and I'm gonna bring the arms up and back. From here, I'm gonna fold right in half, hands sweeping down towards the ground and framing the feet. Okay, then from here, we're gonna step the right foot back into a lunge position. So the right foot goes all the way back. The knee is gonna come down to the floor. I'm gonna keep the toes curled under. I'm not staying here long. And then keeping the hips forward, I'm gonna reach the arms up and back. It's a little bit of balance. Hips go forward a lot. So we're not putting weight on that back knee. Good, hands come down to the floor, stepping back, downward facing dog. Okay, everything else is going to be the same. So we're just gonna step that right foot forward now. Left knee comes down to the ground. So we go through the vinyasa, like plank, knees, chest, chin, cobra, down dog. We just skip that right now, but we're gonna go right into that back bend here. So my hips are reaching forward. Weight is strong in that front foot. Bring it a lot into that front foot. So Jen, even more into your front foot. There you go. Yes. Yes. Hands to the floor, stepping forward. That's why it's easier with the back toes curled under already, and the left foot steps forward. Then we bring the hands forward, coming up, and then we go back into the sequence from here. Okay? So that was just a little run through for it. Let's see if we can go through 2 rounds. Next week, we're going to try to do a little bit more. Okay? So standing in your mountain pose, do the best that you can. Let the fingertips come down towards the sides of your body, lengthening to the floor. Inhale, weight goes forward into the toes. Bring your hips forward, reach the arms and head back. Exhale, standing forward fold, sweeping the hands out in front of you and all the way down to the ground. Inhale, right foot steps back, toes curled under, knee to the floor, arms sweep up and back. That's all one in breath. Hips forward a lot, Yahira. There we go. Yes. Hands to the floor. Exhale, downward facing dog. Inhale to plank, shoulders over the wrists. Exhale, knees, chest, chin. Inhale, cobra. Exhale, lower, send it back, downward facing dog. Inhale, right foot steps forward, left knee to the mat, arms reach up and back. Exhale, standing forward fold. Left foot comes to meet the right. It's a quick movement, yes. Do what you can. Inhale, arms go forward, up and back. Exhale, standing forward fold. Go right through it. Inhale, left foot steps back, knee to the mat. Keep the weight forward in the front heel and reach the arms up and back. Exhale, downward facing dog. Right foot comes back to meet the left. Inhale, forward to plank. Exhale, knees, chest, chin. Inhale, cobra. Exhale, lower, send it back, downward facing dog. Inhale, left foot forward, right knee to the mat. Arms sweep up and back. Exhale, standing forward fold. Inhale, hands forward, up and back. Exhale to standing, arms down by your sides. All right. Questions? Comments? Anything come up for you guys? How'd we do? Yeah. It's tricky, right? There's a little bit more speed to it. And especially as you're first learning it, you're trying to, get the coordination behind with the speed. But as you get a little bit more practice out of this, it can be such a great way of warming up the body. If you guys didn't notice, it kind of made you a little bit more out of breath and hot. Yeah, at least hotter than normal. You're like, I'm hot all the time. All right, so let's go ahead and continue on. Okay, so Bringing ourselves back into our mountain pose. I want you to put the weight into your right foot. And we're going to shift that weight into that right foot, bending our left knee and coming into our dancer pose. We're going to start off with the prep position here. I'm grabbing a hold of the foot with my left hand, and I'm pointing the left knee straight down towards the ground. So it's not moving forward, and it's not moving out towards the side, but down by our sides and straight to the floor. Reaching up through your right fingertips, bring the elbow crease so it's parallel with your eye gaze. This is a little review of our dancer pose. You're going to kick your foot back and then start to tip forward, lengthening out through the fingertips. Keep pointing the toes nice and high. Good. And moving that foot far away from your body. Lift yourself all the way up and slowly release. Switching sides. Putting the weight into your left foot, bending your right knee, and grabbing a hold of the foot with your right hand. Again, trying to line up the knee so it's not moving forward or out towards the side, and keeping that upright pelvis. Left fingertips reach out in front of you, elbow crease in line with your gaze, and then kicking your foot back into your hand, stretching out through the front of the body. Good, toes towards the sky. And slowly lifting up and away from the pose. Inhale, reach the arms up towards the sky. Exhale, fold in half, hinge from the hips. Plant the hands on the floor and step it back into plank position. Feet are straight back behind you. I want you to slowly lower yourself all the way down to the ground. We're going to go into some shoulder stretches right now. I like to call this one boob smash pose. So if you are very well endowed in the front part of your body, this might be a little bit more difficult. Just adjust to where you feel more comfortable. Okay, taking your right arm out wide to the side. And I actually like to have it just slightly forward of my shoulder. So I think I can move it in a way you can see my hand too. So I'm having it with my hand that's slightly forward of my shoulder here. My left hand's going to be directly underneath my shoulder. I'm going to push into my left hand and then roll onto right shoulder. I'm still reaching out through my right fingertips, allowing some space to come open in that right shoulder so it doesn't feel like I'm getting jammed up in the shoulder, but I'm finding length and stretch, and especially into that right pec. Another full breath here. And then lowering yourself back down onto your belly, using your left hand to control how quickly you go. I'm going to adjust so there's just a little bit more space for me to work with here. Now you're going to take your left arm out wide to the side. So we're switching sides now. Left hand comes slightly forward if you chose that for the last side. And then you're going to press into your right hand and then roll onto your left side. Stacking the hips and reaching out through your left fingertips. Making sure that your head is relaxing down. And seeing if you can slow down the breath. And then very slowly lowering yourself back down onto your tummy. Good. Okay. Now let's prop ourselves up. We're going to move into our next posture, which is known as Sphinx Pose. For Sphinx Pose, we're going to bring our elbows directly underneath our shoulders. So our arms, upper arms, are completely vertical. And my forearm is going to be straight out in front of me. So it's almost like I was reading a book, right? Just yay, reading a book. That's how people read books, right? Elbows pressing into the floor. And you're going to press down here so you feel your shoulders moving away from your neck and spine. Okay, so my hands are going to be straight out in front of me. My forearms are going to be parallel to each other. Good. Okay, now I want you to press down into the tops of your feet. Engage your legs so much that you feel that your knees almost lift up off the ground. They may actually lift up off the ground here. Good. Now, as you press down into your elbows, firm your shoulders back, lift your head up high, and then lift navel up towards your spine. So this is not a passive posture here. We are not just sitting down into the pose and relaxing. I'm actively pressing myself away from the ground. And I want you to, your hips are still staying on the ground though. I want you to see if you can engage with that very similar type of Kabbalabati breathing. So I want you to feel your exhalation, drawing your navel in towards your spine. So squeezing the breath out of your body as you keep pressing down. Inhale, expanding through your ribs. Exhale, squeezing, engaging through that core. Good. One more time. Exhale. So Brenda, press down in through your elbows a little bit more, lifting your head up high. Imagining that your head is being pulled up towards the sky from a string right on the very top of your head. So less of the forehead, but more on the top of your head. Good. This is called Sphinx Pose. Sphinx. Good. And then I want you to place your elbows nice and wide. Bring your forehead down on top of your stacked hands. And just wag your tail side to side. Bring it back to stillness, keeping your head on top of your hands. I want you to raise your entire right leg up off of the mat. Good. See if you can do this while still keeping your left hip down as well. Lower your right leg back down. Good. And now lifting your left leg up. Keeping your right hip down on the mat also. Lengthening out through the ball of your foot, through your toes. Feeling the engagement through the back side of the body to open up the front side. And then lowering that leg back down. I want you to now circle your hands back behind you. And this is where you might want to have your towel handy. You're going to reach your hands back behind and then interlace your fingers. Okay? With your fingers interlaced, glue the heels of the hands together. There we go. And then feel your knuckles move away from your body. Good. So they're moving towards your toes, towards your heels, and then lifting up off of your buttocks. If you do not have the ability to bring your hands still together from here, you're grabbing a hold of the towel to find that type of length there. Okay. Now, as you're moving your hands, I want you to lift up through the front of the body, through the chest. Pull the navel in towards your spine. Let your head come along for the ride. So your head is not lifting up too far, but you're just allowing the head to move along with the rest of the spine here. Finding that engagement through the upper part of the body. The feet are going to stay down on the ground for right now. As we start to put these pieces together, you're going to lower yourself all the way down. Relax your hands. Turn your right cheek onto the floor. And then coming into what we know as locust pose, L-O-C-U-S-T, locust, Shalabhasana. I actually prefer the Sanskrit name for this. It's a lot more fun to say, Shalabhasana. Okay, so we're going to incorporate the legs and the upper body, the upper arms and such, into this really challenging position, okay? It's challenging in a way of strengthening for ourselves. Sometimes people know these as Supermans, except we're not having our arms forward, but behind us. All right, so fingers are going to interlace. Heels of the hands come together. Knuckles reach away from your hips. So reaching towards your heels, and then float the legs up. See if you can get your inner thighs to squeeze together, pulling the navel up and in towards your spine. Inhale. Exhale, squeeze and find more extension and lift. Inhale. Exhale, squeeze and lift up a little bit more. Inner thighs squeezing and hugging together. Good. One more round here. Lifting those legs up, lifting those legs up. Good. Exhale, lower all the way down to the ground. Left cheek this time comes down to the mat. Wag your tail side to side. Good. Let's set ourselves up for our Sphinx pose again. Elbows come down to the floor, pressing them down into the mat. I want you to take your left hand across towards your right fingertip. So your left forearm is now at a diagonal. You're going to bend your right knee, toes up towards the sky, and then reach back with your right hand for the foot. There's going to be two actions what we're doing. We're going to be pulling our foot towards us, and then we're pressing the heel down. To get the heel to press down, it's really helpful to bring the elbow up towards the sky. So you may have noticed when I grabbed a hold of the foot, I pull, okay, and that elbow points up towards the sky. Try to do the best that you can with that. And spinning, maybe the hand comes on top of the foot as you press that heel down towards your buttocks. Push down into your left elbow to find more length through the front of the body. This is called one-legged frog. There is a two-legged frog, but don't worry, we're not going to be doing that in this class. It's a lot more challenging to work on. But you should be feeling a good stretch in your right quadriceps. Yes. Good. And now I want you to squeeze your right butt cheek. What? Oh, yeah. There you go. There's the goods. Good. Brenda, bend your elbow, your right elbow towards the sky. Yeah. Does that feel a little bit deeper? Good. Good. Getting that big stretch to the shoulder. Woo. Still keeping the height of the body so you can bring that heel closer to your hip. Good. And then slowly release. Right elbow comes down. Give yourself that height again. Bringing the forearm so it comes across the body. And then bending your left knee, grabbing a hold of the foot, and then bringing that top of the hand, or the foot, excuse me, the hand onto the top of the foot, squeezing and pressing that down. Jennifer, is this bothering your low back? It's okay? No? Okay. If you need to do this, you can do this on your side, and that can help with the low back, especially if there's going to be a lot of pain in the low back.
Okay. Yeah, it is painful.
Okay, so try doing this on your side. And then this is essentially what we were doing earlier, trying to keep the knees stacked. Okay. And so you get a little bit more out of that low back extension.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Of course. And if anybody else is like Jennifer and you're like, this is too much for my low back, please do help yourselves. Good. Pressing down a little bit more. Good. See if you can give yourself that height. Squeeze that left butt cheek. Good. Demi, see if you can lift up higher. Good. Bring your right elbow down. So double frog or two-legged frog is actually with the height of both of your hands as you press down here. Okay. So that's where this eventually starts to go, is keeping that height in the body as you press down and get that heel down. So it's important that we get that height through the front of the body for this posture. All right, go ahead and release. Let's give ourselves a little bit of a low back release here. So coming down to your belly, Jen, this might feel good for your low back too. Okay, you're going to bend your knees again and then sway your feet side to side. So they go together from the right to the left. And that should allow those hips to relax a lot more. Wonderful. Let's place the hands directly underneath your shoulders. You're going to press yourself up onto hands and knees, and then sit back into your child's pose. Hips go down on top of your heels. Forehead towards the mat. Maybe the arms are out in front of you or down by your sides. And just focus on breathing into your low back, finding that expansion. And then pressing up onto your hands and knees. Walk your knees forward towards your wrists, cross at the ankles or shins, and sit back behind your feet. Let's come into our head to knee pose. So this looks like our tree pose, sitting down into a forward fold shape. Okay, so that foot is going to be tucked into the left foot is going to be tucked into the inside of right leg for now, and your belly is going to be turning towards that right leg. Remember that you can use your strap here or bend the knee, especially if those hamstrings are not as forgiving. Inhale, raise the arms up. Exhale, bring your belly to your thighs and grab onto whatever's there. Let the back of the neck lengthen out. And just breathe into your entire backside. And perhaps as you are doing this particular stretch, asking yourself those same questions that we asked at the beginning of the practice of, where am I being stubborn? Where am I being rigid and inflexible in my life? And where can I find a little bit of pliancy? Where can I be more compromising? Not always compromising in a way that feels like it's taking away from you, but allowing yourself to give. Good. Reach forward through your fingertips, lift yourself all the way up, and exhale, release the arms down by your body. You're going to bend your right knee, planting the foot on the floor. Slide that foot all the way across to the outside of your left hip, your right hip, excuse me. Now I want you to cross your leg up and over. We're going right into our cow face pose. And so this is the completion of the posture that we've been working on for the past few weeks. If you need to have your strap or your towel available, you're going to be using that to help you with this. So I have my knees stacked as best as I can. If you need to, you can be on your block to give yourself that little extra forgiveness. Okay, for this one, I want you to reach your right arm forward and lift it all the way up towards the sky. You're gonna bend the elbow and pat yourself on the back. All right, just to give ourselves a little bit of that stretch, I want you to grab a hold of the outside of your right elbow with left hand and then press your elbow away from your head. Giving yourself that big stretch in the shoulder. Drawing navel in towards spine. Good. Now keeping that hand there, we're going to reach our left hand out wide to the side. Lengthen out through those fingertips. Palm faces away. Slide that hand up the middle of the back towards those fingertips, and maybe even grabbing onto your strap or your towel. If you have a long ponytail, that could work too, or even grabbing onto your shirt. And then seeing if you can come into the full posture here. Cow face pose. Gomukasana. And this is the one that I mentioned that is at least 500 years old. It kind of makes you feel like you're 500 years old, right? You're kind of feeling a little bit stiff in all these areas. But this posture, cow face, it gets its name from what the shape actually looks like it's doing. Okay, so if you can imagine, just start to get really creative with this. The knees are the lips of the cow, and the toes are the whiskers, and the ears are your elbows. Okay, so one ear is down and one ear is up, and I'm not going to tell you where the eyes are. All right, go ahead and release those arms. Shoulders lift up towards your ears and then loop them down and back. Lean back, untangle your legs and send your left foot forward. Right foot tucks in. We're going into our head to knee pose on the other side, reaching up to the fingertips, and then exhale, coming forward over that leg. Trying to bring the belly towards the thigh. Good. And even if that means we have to bend the knee a little bit, that's fine. Creating that length in the back of the body. And continuing to square the shoulders. Good. One more full breath here. And reaching through the fingertips, lift yourself up, release the arms all the way down. Bending that left knee, and now sliding your right foot across, so the foot is to the outside of the hip, and then your left foot is going to move to the outside. Good. We should switch the side. Yeah, that was the switch of the side. Yes? Good. All right, now I want you to take your left arm forward and up towards the sky. You're going to bend the elbow and pat yourself on the back, especially by that left shoulder. And then right hand's going to come across as you press out and away. Good. Full breaths in and out through the nose. Keeping a tall spine. Good. And now taking that right arm out wide, palm faces away, thumb points down, slide that hand up the back and see if you can join the fingertips here. Coming into your cow face pose on this side. Lifting up nice and tall through your crown. I know that my personal tendency is to allow my pelvis to kind of move forward here. And if I pull the ribs in, okay, towards the spine, the front lower ribs in towards the spine, I maintain a little bit more of that engagement through the front of the body. Good, another full breath in here. And slowly release those arms, shoulders towards the ears, roll them down and back, and once more. Move the hands back behind you, untangle the legs. You're gonna slide yourself forward so you have plenty of space to come all the way down. And we're gonna make our way into happy baby pose. So separate those knees wider than your torso, soles of feet up towards the sky, grabbing a hold of what you can. Just bring those shins so that they're fully vertical. And then maybe rocking your baby side to side. And then releasing your baby pose. Draw the knees towards each other for a little tuck. Maybe even bringing your forehead up to meet your knees if that feels good for you. And lowering head and shoulders down. Bring your arms down by your sides, releasing the legs down towards the ground into your corpse pose. And either keeping the knees bent or the legs fully extended. Start to walk the shoulders until the shoulder blades lie flat. Palms are facing up. And then just releasing the full length of your body into the ground. Most advanced yogis believe that the most important work that we do for our practice comes now, our corpse pose. As you lie flat, breathing, softening, this place of not doing is hard. It's especially hard if we have a restless mind. So do the best that you can to maintain focus on your presence here, the feeling of perhaps your senses, the weight and the touch of your body on the ground, the temperature of your mat on your skin, compared to the temperature of the air on your skin. Maybe listening to any other sounds that you might notice in your environment. The taste and smell of the sweetness of your breath. Maybe the light filtering in through your closed eyelids. And just bringing yourself to this place of ease. This place of simplicity. And giving yourself the opportunity to just relax. And taking one more deep breath where you are. And find some movement in fingers and toes. Let the head rock side to side. And stretch the arms up and overhead. Lengthen out through your legs, your toes. And give yourself a big tuck, a hug. Knees fold into your body. Good. Hands wrap around. And then carefully rolling over onto one side. And making your way up to a comfortable seat. Pressing all the way up and bringing our hands together at our heart center. Feel free to unmute yourself for the closing of our practice. Let's bow our heads softly forward, just acknowledging the stillness within us. Recognizing your own inner light, your own spark of divinity. And from here, I bow to the infinite light within you. Namaste.
Namaste.
Namaste.